Throughout the first half of the 109th Congress, House Republicans have worked tirelessly for the American people. We passed legislation to grow the economy, protect America's families, strengthen our security, and advance freedom abroad. Despite numerous challenges, Republicans have maintained an unwavering commitment to doing the business of the American people. Faced with the continued threat of terrorism, Republicans pushed for the passage of legislation to help ensure the safety of the American people. We supported initiatives to provide greater support to our first responders and increase the capabilities of the Department of Homeland Security. In the wake of Hurricane Katrina and other natural disasters, Republicans passed legislation to create more efficient federal programs to assist with disaster relief operations. Thanks to the legislation advanced by House Republicans, our nation is stronger and more secure.
We don't want to be fighting terrorism on the streets of Washington, D.C. or Chicago or Minneapolis or anywhere else.
In today's world of terrorism, you can't have all your eggs in one basket.
After 9/11, this is no longer an issue of just immigration. It's an issue of national security.
We believe we're going to be successful in getting this legislation through because it just makes good common sense, and I think the people across America are just going to support the provisions we have in the bill.
House Republicans are united in our commitment to respond to Hurricane Katrina with compassion, generosity, and fiscal discipline.
We want to be prepared in a way that we make the very best decisions.
Look, we have to work together. We've got to rebuild the state. That's more important than partisan differences.
When you have a national emergency or a time of war, you have to respond to it. There's no waiting.
We have a lot of work to do to make sure that New Orleans, the Gulf Coast, Mississippi, and southern Florida is reconstructed, is rebuilt, it's better than ever.
We've got to be able to help these people rebuild their city in the Mississippi Valley.
House Republicans have an agenda that we can be proud of. We've improved our homeland security. Last night we passed a bill to better secure and control our borders in this age of terrorism.
Republicans have maintained their commitment to the global war on terror, supporting initiatives that have provided more resources to our military and intelligence operations. Because of Republican support, the men and women serving in our armed forces are receiving the tools they need to continue to keep America safe and defend freedom wherever it is threatened. Republicans have stood firm in their support of the Iraqi people's quest for independence and freedom. As a result, the Iraqis have overcome insurmountable obstacles to ratify a constitution and establish a democratic government. Republicans remain committed to nurturing the seed of democracy that's been planted in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Our men and women who fight for this country, to wear their uniforms, have made a great sacrifice. We want to honor that sacrifice. We want to make sure there is freedom and liberty in those countries that they've worked and fought.
They are protecting America by being there.
We can have victory and must have victory in Iraq.
We've got to stay the course. We cannot put a timetable in place.
In 4 months' time, we've had elections in Afghanistan, elections in the Palestinian Authority, now elections in Iraq.
And they see this election as a very, very important step in reclaiming the country and having the country that'll have opportunities for women.
This will be the first democratic constitution adopted in the Arab Middle East.
Tomorrow will be a huge political victory. This will be the time when we elect a 4-year permanent government of Iraq.
We will see unmistakable, clear, objective evidence of progress.
We're not a conquering army. That's not what America does. But we love freedom, and we're willing to fight for it even if it's not our own.
I'm just so proud of his service, proud of the National Guard. They're making such a difference protecting the American people.
And what we're seeing in Iraq, we'll see through the Middle East, and we'll see the great impact on terrorism around our globe.
Over the past year, the American economy has seen tremendous growth. The economic policies of House Republicans are working. 4.4 million more Americans are working than in May of 2003, and the unemployment rate is lower than the average in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. By extending tax relief, Republicans put more money back into the hands of taxpayers who are driving our economy and creating jobs and opportunity.
What our party has been about since we began early in January was to restore fiscal sanity to this budget process, to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars.
This has been a Congress about improving the economy, creating jobs, creating opportunity.
We've seen that we've been able to maintain a relatively high growth rate, particularly compared to other economies and competitors.
And unemployment is down to 5%, and there are record home sales.
$150 billion decrease in the deficit this year.
We believe that our plan will continue to achieve those savings and continue toward deficit reduction.
Tax reductions and permanent tax reductions are necessary for an increasing economy.
How do you explain more revenue coming in this year than last year with tax cuts?
We created 4.2 million new jobs since those tax cuts passed.
Tax cuts have allowed this economy to flourish and go forward.
Tax relief has been part of the deficit solution, not part of the deficit problem.
Dividends and capital gains have brought in revenues, and the only way that we can really solve this country's problem is by growing the economy, and those tax policies are a very important part of it.
Members on a broad-based level want to make sure that we reduce any need to borrow from abroad.
We have had a renewed focus to looking for ways in which we can reduce spending and keep our economy growing.
If you're a farmer or a small business person or a worker back in Iowa or across the country, you're better off as a result of the fiscal policies that we've put in place. Our economy is growing.
Throughout the first half of the 109th Congress, Republicans made it a priority to improve health care and education. We passed legislation to strengthen Medicare and improve medical services, and implemented programs to bolster Head Start and prevent the abuse and mismanagement of federal education funds. We also promoted child safety by passing legislation to protect children from convicted sex offenders. House Republicans have continued to promote policies that improve Americans' lives and promote family values.
For virtually every single senior in this nation, they will be finally getting some assistance in the purchase of their medications, which, remember, isn't true right now in the Medicare program.
On the Medicare drug plan, if you're at 150% of the poverty line or below, you pay virtually nothing for your drugs.
We are pledging ourselves to finding a cure for cancer by the year 2015.
We're expanding welfare reform, we're reauthorizing that, continuing the progress that has actually unlocked families and individuals from welfare.
As members of Congress are sworn to do, we felt that it was important to have a national policy on this issue.
We've already passed several bills that have gotten to the President's desk to help needy students stay in college, to help people with the needs immediately.
This year we'll provide about $75 billion worth of student loans to help provide access for low to moderate income children around the country.
As we begin the second half of the 109th Congress, we Republicans must maintain our commitment to continue moving our nation forward. Our majority will continue to work to accomplish the business of the American people.